Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's Tafsir session, inshallah. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Ramadan. Inshallah, today we will be discussing Surah Al-A'raf, verse number 187 to verse number 188. So I hope everyone is ready to listen to the tafsir of these ayat, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون قل لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله ولو كنت أعلم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء إن أنا إلا نذير وبشير لقوم يؤمنون. So Alhamdulillah, these were the ayat that we are going to listen to the tafsir about, inshallah. Now, before I start, this surah is called Surah Al-A'raf. Surah Al-A'raf, there is a meaning behind the word A'raf. A'raf is said to be the place where those individuals will be who are neither in Jannah nor are they in Jahannam. So the day of Qiyamah, what's going to happen is obviously certain people are going to be going to Jannah, certain people, God forbid, will be going to Jahannam. And all of that obviously will be based on foremost the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also the scale. So everyone's good and bad will be placed on a scale, right? If your good is more, that means you are entitled to go to Jannah. If your misdeeds are more, then that means you are supposed to go to Jahannam. So based on whether you've got more good deeds or more bad deeds, obviously whichever way it weighs, that's the way you're going to be going, right? So that's the general rule. However, there will be some instances where the reward and the sins are the same, okay, and the scale will be unable to decide whether to go this way or that way because both are equally the same. So in those instances, these individuals will be placed in a limbo. They will be placed together and they will be known as Ashabul A'raf, the people of A'raf. Okay, now what's going to happen to the people of A'raf? Obviously, there is a whole section in the 8th juz that talks about the people of the A'raf and the people of Jannah and Jahannam. But what the scholars say is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is too great for him to put them into the fire of Jahannam. Just because they were unable to get that extra reward to tip that scale, the fact that they at least got the same reward and sins, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always favor towards mercy. So He will forgive them and He will grant them entry into Jannah. So that's the story behind the word Al-A'raf. So in today's part, we're going to be learning about another thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said. You see, the people of Quraysh, they used to come and talk to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they used to ask him various questions, right? Some of those questions were, related to various things like when is the Qiyamah gonna come, when is the day of reckoning gonna come, after we die are we gonna be resurrected again, when these things like that. So what happened was some of the Quraysh, or some scholars of the opinion it was the Yahud, they came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him a question. The question was, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا. They asked him, when is the day of reckoning gonna be? When is Qiyamah gonna be? When is the final day gonna be? Okay? When is that day gonna be? When is Armageddon gonna be? Right? When is it gonna be? Ayyana Mursa. When is it gonna happen? Now, when it comes to the day of Qiyamah, no one knows the exact time except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what we learn in various ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this over and over again, that none know the exact time of the day of Qiyamah except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, after they asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give this particular reply. And the reply is, قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ رَبِّي. O Prophet of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say this to these people. Okay? And he put words into his mouth so that he can reply in a correct manner. And he said, إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ رَبِّي. This knowledge is solely with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, solely with my Rabb, with my Lord. Meaning, when will Qiyamah come? None know but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Quraysh और मुश्रिकीन बोलते रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के से प्रश्न दिखाई يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها. उत्तम شيء after के से प्रश्न दिखाई ते क़यामत कुन दिन उइबो. قل خيدو كافن ثرده إنما علمها عند ربي. इक्तार ज्ञान एकमात्र Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala के से अमर प्रभुर के से. لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو. No one is aware of his exact time except him. The iktar ashol shomoy kita ekmatra Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala zanon. Nobody knows when it is going to happen. Right? No one has, we can speculate, we can do this, we can do that, but no one can say for sure that this is exactly when it's going to happen. لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض. Okay? Now in this particular part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, heavy is its burden through the heavens and the earth. Okay? Because no one knows when it will exactly occur, when it will exactly happen, that knowledge is something very heavy in the heavens and the earth. And not only that, the fact that it can happen, right, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to happen and no one has knowledge of it, that has created a form of burden, okay, in the heavens and the earth. But if you knew something was happening, you would be prepared for it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left it like, you get these, what do you call that, sudden inspections that happen in schools or something like that. So no one is prepared. No one knows when it's going to happen. And that's why everybody's on their toes, right? Because it can happen at any moment. In the same way, the Qiyamah can happen at any moment. ثَقُلَتْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The knowledge of that, right, is burdensome and very heavy in the heavens and the earth. لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة. It will not come to you but suddenly. It will not come and announce itself that, you know what, I'm about to happen. It's just gonna happen. Suddenly it's gonna happen. And we're gonna actually understand through some ahadith as to what is meant by happening suddenly. Okay? يَسْأَلُونَكَ كَأَنَّكَ حَفِيٌّ عَنْهَا. They ask you as if you have a good knowledge of it. You know the way the people came and asked the Prophet ﷺ, it was, they felt like, you know what, the Prophet ﷺ should know everything. He should know all of the things of the unseen. You know, he's the Prophet of Allah. You know, he should know everything. But that's not the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give all of his knowledge to the Prophet ﷺ. He had a lot of knowledge. But ultimate knowledge only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give to the Prophet ﷺ, he gave. But that doesn't mean in any way that the Prophet ﷺ had equivalent knowledge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alimul ghaib and full knowledge of everything only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ could have found out about whatever he wanted. Okay, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was his very close friend. Okay, but that doesn't mean that all knowledge automatically was given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because all knowledge and the knowledge of the unseen only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So يَسْأَلُونَكَ كَأَنَّكَ عَفِيٌّ عَنْهَا, the way they come and ask you is as if you have knowledge of everything. ज़रा तुम्हारा ये ज़िक्र लगे ज़रा अफरा शोब ज्ञान से. قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say to the people again, إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, the knowledge of the day of Qiyamah is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abar khoisun manusho kal tak gya kho innama ilmuha indallah, iktar gyan ekmatra Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kise. So look at this. Twice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam repeat a similar what you call that message to the people, that the knowledge of Qiyamah, the knowledge of the final day, only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only rests with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody else has that knowledge. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, but most people have no knowledge of that. They don't know that this knowledge only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at us in today's time, okay? There are some individuals who actually place the Prophet ﷺ on the same footing as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the Christians did to Isa ﷺ and Jesus. Some people, even though they're not openly saying it, but their actions and the way they are behaving and the way they are believing certain things, it shows as though their belief is that the Prophet ﷺ has all knowledge, just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. One of the main reasons this has come about is because we haven't really studied about it as much. We have probably studied other things, but not we haven't studied the knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember when I was young and I was studying in Bangladesh, and I used to go to the village areas quite often, and that was a prevailing knowledge that a lot of people used to have, that just like Allah Ta'ala knows things, the Prophet ﷺ knows things as well. There were actually a lot of people who used to believe in that. Okay? But obviously, when they came into contact with scholars, when the scholars explained to them, then they understood that, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, and the Prophet ﷺ only knows what Allah Ta'ala has taught him. Okay? This by no means means that the Prophet ﷺ is less honorable. There's no one can go close to the honor of the Prophet ﷺ. If the whole world and everyone in it, right, got together and put all of their honor onto one scale, and the Prophet ﷺ's honor was put onto another scale, his honor will far outweigh everyone else's honor and respect. Even if we had to add the Anbiya ﷺ and all of the angels on the other side as well, still the honor of Rasulullah ﷺ would have been far more than the honor of all of the creation put together. Okay, so no one's saying anything about the honor of the Prophet ﷺ. We're just having a reality check that all knowledge only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, based on the mission that the Prophet ﷺ was given, he was given certain amounts of knowledge that we can't even dream of, okay, well beyond what we know, okay, or what we can acquire. That was the Prophet ﷺ. If all of the knowledgeable people of the world were to put their knowledge on one side, and the knowledge of Rasulullah ﷺ was to put on the other side, then the knowledge of Rasulullah ﷺ will be far greater and far honorable and far more than all of the knowledge of all of the creation put together. Okay, let's just put that there, right? But still, that knowledge is not all-knowing knowledge like the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Yet there are some people who don't really understand this, because they're so used to thinking that there are human beings who can also have knowledge like Allah Ta'ala. You know, for example, if I'm not mistaken, in the Hindu religion, there are some, you know, there are so many gods, you know, there's Krishna, there's Ram, there's this, that. Yes, in many of the understanding, these are just manifestations of the same God. But we get to see that there are some, what do you call it, pious people who are able to wrestle the God or punish the God or curse the God, right? Where is the power of a common person and where is the power of a God, right? That's what Islam teaches us, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond our comprehension, is beyond whatever we can even imagine. Okay, and we have to understand it like that. So قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And then we learn that the Qiyamah will suddenly come onto the people. How suddenly? How unprepared will people be? There will be a person who is probably fixing his pond, okay, or fixing his water supply. You know, he's fully unaware that, you know, Qiyamah is about to fall. Qiyamah will happen. It's not like, oh, we're all going to be waiting expectantly. We're going to be all crammed together in one, you know. It's not like we're going to be like, you know, expecting Qiyamah to happen. And you're like, we're all going to be prepared. We're going to be standing rows to row like prepared. You know what? Qiyamah will come and we're ready, you know. No, it's not like that. Everyday life is happening. The normal, everything is happening. Suddenly Qiyamah will come. So here the example is given of a person who is fixing his water supply. And while he's fixing his water supply, why is he fixing his water supply? Because he's not aware that Qiyamah will come. To him, he still needs water. He's gonna need water tomorrow. He's fixing it up for probably he's fixing up in the morning for the need that he's gonna have now or in the evening. Basically, he is fully unaware that the Qiyamah is gonna happen. But while he's fixing up his water supply, Qiyamah will come. It will catch him completely unawares. In the same way, a person might be giving water to his animals, you know. He might be a shepherd, or he might be something else where, you know, he's looking after his animals. And obviously now it's time for him to feed, and just like normal, he's going and feeding his animals. And while he's in that, Qiyamah will come. What I'm saying is, Qiyamah will not tell a person that it is coming. It will come all of a sudden. Okay? وَرَجُلُ يُقِيمُ سِلْعَتَهُ فِي السُّوقِ وَيَخْفِضُ مِيزَانَهُ وَيَرْفَعُهُ. A person is probably selling one of his goods in the marketplace, and he's got a scale there, because I don't know if you've seen it now, but if you go around different countries, you'll realize that a lot of the goods, for example rice or flour, they're actually measured. They're put onto a scale. For example, there will be a bag here, and you'll put in some flour inside here, right? Or some rice inside that bag. And then on the other side of the scale, you're going to put a weight which weighs probably 1 kg, right? And you're going to see, like, does it become the same? If it becomes the same, that means whatever amount of flour or rice is in that bag is equivalent to 1 kg. So you just bought 1 kg. Do you understand? So in the same way, Allah, you know, in the hadith, the example is given that a person is selling their goods and they are actually just weighing the goods. And as I've just explained to you, you know, first it has to, like, it wobbles a little bit until it becomes the same. So that's what's happening. It's wobbling. It's going up and down. While all of that is happening, Qiyamah will come. Completely unaware. No one knows when Qiyamah will come. It will happen suddenly. Okay, that's what it means. La ta'tikum illa baghta. Okay. In another, for example, قال ففيما عهد إلي ربي عز وجل أن ذلك إذا كان كذلك, that it has been narrated in another hadith that فإن الساعة كالحامل المتمم, that قال الإمام أحمد قال يزيد بن هارون ثم تنسف الجبال وتمد الأرض مد الأديم ثم رجع إلى حديثه هشيم. So here there is another hadith that is mentioned that Qiyamah, or when it's going to happen, is like a female who is just about to give birth. Okay, now as we know, we don't know when that birth will happen. We have to be ready, right? And you all know, those of you who are married, before anything happens, you prepare your bags, you make sure you got your hospital bag ready, everything, your sandals, everything is ready, because at any minute nature will call. Whatever Allah Ta'ala has prepared is going to come into effect, and you might have to rush to the hospital. You won't have time to pack up then. In the same way, Qiyamah can happen just like a pregnant woman is who is just about to give a baby, is unsure and is uncertain as to when exactly it will happen, or just like the hospital is unsure of when exactly it will happen, in the same way the Qiyamah and the last day of reckoning is going to happen suddenly, and it will be shrouded with uncertainty. That timing is only known by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. Yes, I would just like to mention to you that at some point there was this one particular person who came and said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Prophet of Allah, Mata sa'a, when is the day of Qiyamah gonna come? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam redirected that, and he said, Ma adatta laha, what have you prepared for the day of Qiyamah? What have you prepared for the day of resurrection? That's when the person said that I have prepared, my preparation is that I love Allah and I love His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. Meaning, my actions and my deeds are in line with what I've learned from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what I've learned from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't say, oh, I love Allah and I love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but all of my actions are, the opposite. No. When a person loves someone, without even knowing it, they imitate their way of speaking, they imitate their way of dressing, they imitate their way of dealing, they imitate their way of thinking. Why? Because they are in love with that person, and to them that person is like the best thing that could ever happen to them. In the same way, when this person said that I have prepared my love for the Prophet ﷺ and my love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the day of Qiyamah, the Prophet ﷺ said, Anta ma'aman ahbabta, you will be with the one whom you love. Meaning on the day of Qiyamah, me as a Prophet, inshallah, I will be going to Jannah, and you will also be going to Jannah. And we have to understand that when the person said that they love Allah and the Prophet, that means their actions are also in line with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants and what the Prophet wants. Okay? Now, there are a few signs that we will see before the day of Qiyamah comes, but those signs, when they will come out exactly, we don't know. There are minor signs. For example, people will become very disrespectful towards their parents. People will hold their friends to be much more valuable and much more interesting, and also much more trustworthy and worthwhile than their parents. And we see that is happening in today's time, okay, where people are not really concerned about their parents. They're not worried about what the parents are saying, what the parents want from them. They're only worried about the trend that is happening around amongst their friends, and to them their friends are much more valuable and more worth it than their parents. So this is one of the signs of Qiyamah. Also, instruments, songs and stuff like that will increase, okay, will become very prevalent. Drinking alcohol will become very prevalent. Then another thing is the former nations will say bad things about the previous people. That is become common. If you want to show, in actual fact, it becomes so common that for a person to show that they have gained knowledge, it's become a trend for them to actually step on their previous people to show that I've gained more knowledge than them, and that's why I'm able to say that what they knew was rubbish and I know better. It's become a trend now, okay? Obviously those are the minor signs. The minor signs are already there. You know, there are major signs as well. For example, Dajjal will be coming, the Antichrist. First he will be, he will be going through different things. At some point he will claim that he is, a messenger. Then slowly he will say that, he is God, etc., etc. And also we know that he's going to be blind in one eye. When we say that he was blind, he's going to be blind in one eye, what it means is that it doesn't mean that he's going to be like a cyclops where you won't have anything but you're just going to have an eye here. No, it's not like that. He's going to have both the eyes, but one of the eyes are going to be blind, and the other eye is not going to be blind. And true believers will actually be able to read the words al-kafir, right, or kafara written on his forehead, and he will try to lead people astray, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Jesus, back onto this world, and Isa alayhi salatu wasalam will destroy Dajjal. So there is a whole range of things that we will be learning about that inshallah in a later time. Now the next ayah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him, tell the people that La amliku li nafsi naf'a wa la dharran illa ma sha Allah. I do not have any power over benefiting myself or harming myself except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Meaning, I don't control what happens to me. The ultimate control belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is saying this? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which shows that we are in need of Allah ta'ala's protection at all times. If the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who had so much knowledge, if he said that I do not control the benefit or the harm that happens to me, meaning I can take the full precaution that I want, I can make sure that nothing harmful is coming my way, yet it can come because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted it to come. So everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All power and might belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَوْ كُنْتُ أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ لَاسْتَكْثَرْتُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ. If I have known the unseen, if I know what's happening in the future. A lot of people, they go to get their fortunes read. That's haram in Islam. Getting your fortunes read is actually haram in Islam. Getting your horoscope read is haram in Islam. Why? Because they foretell of a future which is non-existent. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't tell us about the future. We don't know about the future. We can prepare for the future, but we don't know about the future. So those people actually go to fortune tellers and stuff like that to find out their future. Get out of that practice, because Islamically that practice is not correct. It's actually haram. In a way, it actually leads a person towards shirk. Okay? So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, وَلَوْ كُنْتُ أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ. If I had known the unseen, then I would have increased my good. وَمَا مَسَّنِيَ سُوءٌ. And no harm would have befallen me. Meaning, for example, I would have prepared for rainy days. As such. Basically, I would have known that, in 3 days time, I won't have enough food. You know what? Why don't I have less food now so that I can save something for that day? Right? Or I know that today, if I go and sell this object in the market, I won't get that much money, right? But if I sell it on that particular day, I will make more money. Then had I known the unseen and had I known these things, then probably I would have gone around making a lot of money, or I would have gone around preparing for those days when I don't have enough. But because I don't know the unseen, that's why I'm not preparing like that. Because the knowledge of the unseen only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنْ أَنَا إِلَّا نَذِيرٌ وَبَشِيرٌ لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. I am only a warner and a person who bears glad tidings for those who are believers. So আমি গাইবার কোনো জিনিস সকল জানি না, যদি আমি গাইবার জিনিস সকল জানতাম তাহলে আমার উপরে কোনো ধরনের ক্ষতি কোনো সময় ফসল না, সব সময় খালি আমি বালা আর বালা পাইলাম। মানুষ গিয়া আমি তো একদিন বলাইয়া খাইলাম, 2-3 দিন বাদে আমার ঘরের মাঝে খানি নাই। যদি আমি গাইবের খবর জানতাম তাহলে আমি জানলাম যে আমার 2-3 দিন বাদে আমার খানি থাকতো না। এর লাগে আমি এখন থেকে খমায়া খাইয়া হদিন করে লাগে আমি খানি রাখলাম মানে, কিন্তু আমার কাছে এই নলেজ নাই। এই নলেজ খালি আল্লাহ সুবহানাহু ওয়া তাআলা কাছে লাগে। কোনো সময় আমি খানি থাকে, কোনো সময় আমার কাছে খানি থাকে না। এর মানে হয়েছে গিয়া যে রাসূলুল্লাহ সাল্লাল্লাহু আলাইহি ওয়াসাল্লামে আমল বাড়াইল না, কিন্তু একটা কোন কারণে গ্রহণ করা হয় না, কারণ রাসূলুল্লাহ সাল্লাল্লাহু আলাইহি ওয়াসাল্লাম আমল সবসময় বাড়াইল আছিল। Okay, that's another thing. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us steadfast in deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the correct understanding of the ayat of the Quran, inshallah, and for us to understand that greatness only lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Jazakumullah khairan wa ahsan jazaa.